And here we go. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Money Matters. My name is Nev. And today we're going to be talking about smashing records, just like the title says. And what records are we smashing? Well, all kinds of records. Bitcoin over 35,000 and, approaching 36 really quickly. So 40,000 is coming, y'all, and there is no stopping it. Right after that, there is 50, then 100, and then we shall see how it all goes. It's going to go faster and faster before we even know it. Of course, it's going to be ups and downs, and we've seen a little bit of a down come in. It was really brief, and it's almost like, you stumble, you fall, you get up, brush yourself, and keep on running. That's exactly what Bitcoin is doing today. So we're going to be taking a look at the charts, where we were yesterday, where we're going today, what's going on, and we're going to be taking a look at the news. There's some really bullish and exciting news, not just about Bitcoin and Ethereum, but for the entire eco space of cryptocurrencies and money as a whole, with more countries actually starting to expand on their CBDCs, just like we've been expecting them to do. And, things are going to be rolling out now faster and faster. So I do expect that this year is going to prove to be insano with the news and the announcements. And I will be here with you every single step of the way. And the only way that we can do that together is if you do a couple of things, which is play along with the algorithms. You can't fight them. Well, you can. You're just not going to win. So let's all play along, right? Like, subscribe, bell button, all. Forward it on to the people you know. And let's do this. Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome. Happy Wednesday. Is it Wednesday already? What the hey? How did we already get to Wednesday? How do we already get to Wednesday? I am having too much fun, y'all, and hopefully you are as well. Let's go into the markets right now and take a look at what's going on. So Bitcoin is currently sitting beautifully at $35,027.51. It pumped 9.9% in 24 hours, 27.8 in 7 days. Ethereum is doing even better, pumping 10.8% 24 hours, 56.5% in 7 days, currently sitting at $1,151.52. And shockingly enough, we are still not quite near where it was all-time high. So we're definitely lagging behind. This is definitely going to be the year of crypto and a year of Ethereum. I do believe that this puppy is going to go on up, and it might actually go as high as 20,000 or more. And in this cycle, actually. So I know that sounds kind of crazy, but it actually very well could be, if not even higher than that. So as much as it looks like it might be expensive at 1100, I think it's still pretty darn cheap. But then again, I have failed to say this, so I'm going to say it right now. Nothing I say here in financial advice. I don't have a crystal ball. I have no clue how things are going to play out. And I use my best educated guess to read the tea leaves and coffee grounds to predict what might happen in the future. Now that we've covered that, let us continue. All right, 24 hours. Stellar has been doing, well, stellar. Okay, so what is going on with Stellar? Well, some people think that the XRP folks are getting out of XRP and getting into Stellar. So that's one reason. Another one could be that it has something to do with the news right over here. Ukraine is choosing Stellar Foundation to develop its CBDC regulatory infrastructure for stablecoins. That's right. Ukraine is going in and building a CBDC, and they're going to do it on top of Stellar. Hey, maybe people have read the news, so they're jumping in. 97.1% 24 hours, 18.2% in just the last hour as well, with 143.2% in 7 days. This puppy is pumping. Status is up in a second position at 71.6% on 24 hours, only 85.1% in 7 days. But if it continues at a rate of almost 26% per hour, I think it's going to beat status and everything else. Nem is the third position at positive 30.6% in 24 hours. Reserve right token up 30.4, Band Protocol up almost 30%, Cardano 27%, Icon 22%, Avalanche. Folks, can we say that we're definitely in a bull market? So this is almost as exciting as what we've had over during the summer, except in the winter. We had the summer sports of altcoins while the Bitcoin was not doing as much. And now we have the Winter Olympics where we have the altcoins and the Bitcoin all performing ridiculously well. On the losing end of side, there's really no losers to begin with. But if you want to get really pickety, then Thorchain is down 6.6% in 24 hours, still positive 7 days. Hedera Hashgraph is down 6.2, again, still positive 7 days. Loopring down almost 6%, 5.8. Empty set dollar negative 5.4. Nexo negative 4.1. XRP negative 3.6. Digibyte negative 1, and then we get into the 0 point something. So again, market is definitely up, and we are definitely under. There's really no losers whatsoever. Now, an interesting piece that I do want to point out right over here is to notice that the market is up 10.7%, and we're slowly but surely approaching the crypto market as a whole $1 trillion market cap. How exciting is this, y'all? How exciting is this? This is absolutely super awesome. Of course, the volume is definitely on the pickup, and we've been seeing some really cool pieces happen. So one of the things that I just shared with you is that the Ukraine is actually, rolling out their CBDC, but they're not the only one. We're going to go back into Europe right now, and you will see that the Italian Banking Association is launching experimental digital euro project. So yes, they're conducting tests right now for the digital euro, and they are actually, they're saying, well, yeah, the European Central Bank is not making clear decision of what the heck they're doing, but here in Italy, we're just going to do this. So it's going to be an interesting one, and I do think that because of the ease of being able to kind of transport oneself and create these like awesome independent currencies and stuff, I do think that it would be actually very easy for Greece, for Spain, for Italy to just roll out their own version of the euro, like I-Euro, G Euro, S Euro, and all of that standing for like their own countries. Because right now, when they print euro, they put their cultural symbols and country symbols on the currency, right? And so now it wouldn't surprise me if they do this. I mean, we've seen already portions of Spain starting to do something like this. I don't know that I've seen Greece, but it wouldn't shock me if they're doing it because they're suffering a big deal. So what does this mean for European central bank? I don't know. They could potentially become like a reserve to their own local thing, but the local thing is going to build their stuff. Again, I don't have moles into these places, but it just kind of makes sense of, yeah, we'll still have this to help with the ease of exchange between Italy and Germany and France, and we're just going to print our own local one as well, so that your cup of coffee is no longer costing you gazillion dollars. So this is an interesting piece, and they're just starting to right now, but they are definitely supporting the implementation of the European digital currency and beginning a pilot studies on digital euro product. So it's a very interesting piece that is coming from Italy. at this moment. So this is, two countries in what, 24 hours that is coming in. And we've already seen that Turkey is doing something along the lines that they didn't even announce it. So I think there's going to be more and more countries coming in and starting to make these announcements. And like I said, I am just waiting for the secret announcement that is going to come in and talk about, hey, there's a country that purchased this stuff. So one of the secret sort of, hey, this is what happened and this is what purchased, has to do with this particular company and news. So let me share this with you. So onboarding institutional crypto investors, Coinbase is helping execute one of the largest digital asset trades in history. So of course we got to read it. Well, you do know that Coinbase did help MicroStrategy put in about half a, like $400 million or whatever into the Bitcoin. And they worked with their OTC desks and kind of went in, purchased it without moving the price. And of course, we are bleeding liquidity in Bitcoin, as you already know, and we've been discussing here on this channel. Now, one of the interesting pieces that you may or may not know is that on January 5th, so this is yesterday, Coinbase explained that it recently worked with a firm, One River Asset Management, to purchase a substantial and undisclosed amount of digital assets, enough to make the purchase result in one of the largest digital asset trades in history, according to Coinbase. So, of course, me being me, I'm like, all right, what are we talking about? Like, what is going on? Well, while I don't know exactly what the purchase is, I did find this bit of news that that One River Hedge Fund is increasing their holdings from $600 million to $1 billion in Bitcoin and Ether. So they are actually looking to increase it. And the fact that this was actually rolled out in this particular news was rolled out in the second part of December, so mid-December roughly, and that we got this news basically rolling out as of yesterday, that there might be some potential that this is actually going to be even bigger than the news originally put in. Now, I don't know exactly what it is, but we'll find out in due time for sure. For the decade ahead, now this is a quote from the leader, the CEO of One River. For the decade ahead, digital assets will be an important addition to every institutional portfolio, and may I add, personal portfolio as well. Hello, folks, you gotta do this for yourself. This new asset class is an extraordinary opportunity, quite unlike anything I've ever seen. One River sees enormous long-term appreciation potential for some of these currencies, and this is coming from them. Now, of course, he is not the only one that is saying the same thing. We have, many intelligent investors, from Paul Tudor Jones to, what's his face, Raoul Paul, to, of course, now we have this guy, to we have Michael Saylor, to myself, to many other people saying this is unlike anything else. This is absolutely amazing. The charts are off the hook. The potential is ridiculously good. And, get yourself ready and in a good position to benefit from this particular stuff. So, I think that's one of the interesting pieces. The other one that I think is also really good and important for us to talk about is the information that is coming from the veteran investor, Bill Miller. So he is actually saying, yeah, I agree with Buffett. Bitcoin is a rat poison, but for cash. So, investor Bill Miller said he believes Bitcoin could replace cash and markets are underpricing inflation risk. Warren Buffett famously called Bitcoin a rat poison, and however, he may have been right. Bitcoin could be a rat poison, and the rat is the cash. And this is coming from Miller in a newsletter that was recently published. Interesting piece is that also note is that the Bitcoin has rallied by over 160% in the past 3 months. And of course, we're going to be taking a look at the charts in just a moment, breaking well over 35,000 in the recent few hours, right? So savings rates are unusually high. And so he's looking at it saying, I don't know that we are pricing this correctly. I don't know that we are playing along correctly with the whole, what's going to happen with an inflation piece. He's basically going in and saying, while Bitcoin is amazing as a store of value, and the speed and the ease and the costs and everything else, and of course being deflationary in nature, and of course being really, really sound actual money, and the sound store of wealth, he's also saying that we're not necessarily accounting for the inflation and not estimating inflation risk correctly as a society globally. So he's saying, quote, savings rates are unusually high, and as the economy becomes more normal in the second half of the year, it is likely that consumption will accelerate, and with it, money velocity. We have a lot of money that is in. We have a lot of liquidity. What we haven't had is velocity of money, which is what hasn't been given us much of anything else as far as the inflation stuff happening. Now, it also depends on how you calculate inflation. We do know that inflation is calculated publicly, but I also believe that that's basically all a lie. As Mike Maloney calls it CPI as opposed to CPI, and I agree with him. It's grossly incorrect. It's using stuff that doesn't affect many people. They're using things like, and many people have been talking about it, but they're using things like, well, look, like the computer is 10 times is more powerful, but only 2 times is more expensive. So of course it's going down in price, and you're like, great, like, okay, I can use one computer, but my food is actually going up. And I'm sure that you have noticed my, heat and electric have gone up, utilities have gone up, the expense to run and operate a business has gone up, the housing has gone up, the assets have gone up. So there's a lot of things that actually have gone up, and that should account better in the inflation. But right now, the CPI doesn't. So those are some of the grossly wrong components that are being calculated in it, not to talk about the fact of the substitution and stuff. So I don't think it can be trusted. And of course, they are saying we're not reaching our 2% that we want. We can't break that. So that's one. Then you go into the stock charts, so I think it is called stock charts. Then you go in, and they're looking at it saying, no. The inflation, if we calculate the way that we used to calculate it, well, it should be between 6 and 10%. And then you listen to somebody like Michael Saylor and some of the other sort of quants. Not that Michael Saylor is a quant, but I'm sure he hangs out with a lot. Sorry, Michael, I'm just guessing. Right? That they're saying that inflation, if you really calculate it and you take the assets into the whole thing, we're looking 15 to 20%, and it's going to keep on going for a while. So that's a very different thing to talk about 2% on one hand, and you can break it to 20% on the other end, and that you're actually grossly going over it. So I think that that's something to keep in mind. And he's saying, well, I don't know that we are correctly accounting for the whole thing. So he is very, very bullish on the whole spectrum of Bitcoin, and I do agree with it. And Buffett will come around, and we are beating currently Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway in Bitcoin alone. If you take a look right over here, where's the market cap? Hold on, I'm like, wait, this is not correct. 651.2 billion. And of course, as the price keeps on going up, it is going to continue climbing. So we're beating some of the top companies around the world. And actually, not going to be surprised in the near future, Ethereum being at that market cap, and of course Bitcoin then just being in the trillions, right? Tens of trillions, not just trillions, tens of trillions. So it's going to be taking over the world. It's eating the world, to quote Raoul Pal. Excuse me about that. Sorry about that. But one of the interesting pieces that I also wanted to talk about is that now with the market cap being so high, and many people are looking and saying, all right, we're taking over the companies, we're taking over some of the potentially lower price currencies. But if Bitcoin is a digital gold, then our market cap has to take over the, or at least match the market cap of gold. Well, if that is to happen, what the price would be. And here is one of the news stories that we were able to find. Skybridge Capital says Bitcoin price must reach $535,000 to match the gold, and to not just to like overtake it, but to match it. And of course, it's 121x expansion in the BTC USD price, which will translate to a market cap of over 7 trillion, which is how we're going to match gold. So if you kind of take a look at that stuff and you're like, wait, what? Yeah, 121x to overtake gold. Now, what have folks been calling for in this particular bull market? Well, we've seen all kinds of crazy predictions that people have been saying that, we're going to see, about 140 to 250,000, 300, 400. And then we had the Winklevoss twins that were basically saying that the price would rally to 500,000 in this particular bull market. So that's going to be interesting one. Citibank is saying that, hey, we're going to get 100,000 by December 31. JP Morgan is, saying, hey, we're going to get some additional funding. And I do believe that all of them are right. What exactly is going to turn out, I don't think anybody knows, for certain, but I think it is important to kind of take a look at that stuff. Now, I do want to go in and switch a bit of the view right here so we can take a look at what's been going on with Bitcoin. So right now, we're looking at the chart of Bitcoin, and this is where we were yesterday, if you will recall. So you will see that we have this triangle, and I was doing the yellow drawing, and you can watch the yesterday's video if you want to. It's right there on the channel, that I said, we're going to kind of go on up, come back down, bounce off of this thing, and then we go straight on up. And here is what has transpired since. We did actually, this was about the show right here. We did come back down. We came back up, slightly down, and boom, we did hit on up. And, we did get the price of $35,879.35. This was on the Bitstamp, so it's an interesting piece. We have come down since then, and it looks like right over here. Let me get rid of the drawing. I wanted to leave it over here because this was the yesterday's drawing that we did. So if we go in, let's change the color slightly. You will see that we are starting to now follow this very interesting kind of channel right over here. So we're trading with this as our support. So it just, I would have to tweak around with it, but roughly speaking, so there is a high potential that we're going to keep on bouncing off of this stuff. Now, is it possible that we can break through it? Yes. If that is to happen, we do have a couple of key support levels. One is the moving average right over here at $32,541. This is on the short-term moving average, as I like to call it, the 350. That's a 350-day moving average, right? Is that what No, I just killed it. Why did I kill it? Who the hey knows? Who the hey knows? Sometimes I want to go in and do something, and well, how do you copy and paste? All right, clearly I'm going to have to play around with it. So anyways, we do have a support that is coming in at a much, faster pace, but I do think that we're going to be holding steady. And this is looking at the 15-minute chart. If I take a look at the 1-hour chart, then we can actually see how nicely this is actually playing out. You see that we had a triangle, We broke through it and we're starting to move on up. Now, if we come back to the 15-minute chart, one of the things that I didn't notice in the earlier piece, but I'm noticing right now, is that we do have another momentum being created right now. And again, let's go ahead and change the color right now. So we seem to be having a bit of a support right over here. I don't know if you can see it. Uh, it's not perfect. It's not perfect. Right? Right? So it is right over there. So roughly speaking, we're right around here. And we're also creating another triangle pattern, which is really exciting piece to also pay attention to. So we do have some additional components that are starting to play out. So we'll see. Is it going to go into this channel and play out, or is it going to now play within this triangle? So we'll see. We have a few different support levels. Of course, if it breaks the 3,400 to all the way down to like mid to high 33,000, sorry, not hundred thousands, we could see it go down to 27,000 yet again. But I think it's going to be a short visit. So we'll see. I think we're going to be going on up into the $39,000 range, $40,000 range, and then we can see a bit of another pullback. But again, I don't have a crystal ball, y'all. I don't know exactly how things are going to play out. So I think it's an interesting piece for us to discuss and take a look at. Now, the other piece that I wanted to share with you is that we have a bit of a news that the Grayscale is actually clearing out XRP in its digital large cap fund. So they are getting rid of the Ripple, which is why we have been seeing Ripple basically losing. And Ripple right now is in a 5th position, being taken over by Litecoin. And it wouldn't surprise me if Polkadot in a very short order, as well as Cardano and maybe even Bitcoin Cash, take over XRP, and XRP starts dropping down and losing in it. How fast is it going to happen? I don't know. But it is going to be something that is going to be interesting. However, XRP still, there's still, folks that are gung-ho about it, and every time we kind of hit the 19-cent mark, people end up buying it and it pushes back up. But again, I think it's a super risky proposition, and again, they are being right now, Ripple is being sued now by their investors as well. So we'll see how it all plays out. Personally, I just kind of like to stay out of that stuff, let them settle, and then I'll go and play around with it later on. Right now it's too risky, and that's probably why many of these institutions, exchanges, and so on are basically saying, look, we're not even going to play around with this stuff. Now, I did want to share with you another piece that I wanted to take a look at right now as well, and that is the Ethereum chart. So we did take a look at the Bitcoin chart, and here is the Ethereum. And again, here is the yesterday's sort of, we came up with this very much supporting line over here. We were talking about there's a bit of a triangle action happening, and we broke right through it yesterday, and came up with the new levels, new supports, and we seem to be following. Let me see if I can extend this. We seem to be following a bit this line over here, where it acts as a support, then it acts as a resistance, right? And so we kind of keep on toying around with it. So it's definitely an interesting piece to play around with and pay attention to. But of course, we are seeing this particular triangle as well kind of starting to shift a little bit, and develop brand new space. We're seeing that there's seems to be some sort of how do we call it, resistance level. And the part that is kind of scary right now is that we seem to have almost like a double top. We have a double top right over here. See if I can move this. So you can see the double top right over here at 1169, and then we have another sort of top right over here at 1170. So it's not exactly the same price, not exactly the same amount, but this does give me a bit of a pause to say, is it possible that we could actually have a bit of a pullback in the relatively shorter period of time? It's possible. We'll see how that all plays out. So we did have a bit of a support level at 880, 900 level. We had another one at about 980. We do have a moving average at about 9980, or sorry, 998. So it could potentially hold it, but one of the pieces to pay attention to is to see where things are going to play out, and are we going to come back down in a short term? And again, if that is to happen, I actually personally would love that, because that means that I can actually get a bit more on the short term of the whole thing. Now, in some of the additional news and information that I think is important for everybody to know, has to do with some of the scams that are coming in. So Electro-Rat malware is targeting different components and different individuals to empty your crypto wallets. And so what's going on? Well, they're discovering a remote access Trojan, also known as RAT, that is fabricated to fake crypto apps to trick users into installing a new strain of malware on their system. These apps target wallets of thousands of Windows, Linux, and Mac OS users, and were built on top of Electron, an app building framework. So I think you kind of need to know that this is across the board, and it's a cross-platform RAT malware. It's written and ground up in Golang. So they are basically using modern technologies to build things that look like real things, act like real things, and on top of everything else, folks, what they're doing is they are actually, hold on, I realize that this might be easier for you. Sorry about that. They're actually, going out there and, looking to basically have you go in, play around with the app. They download the thing, then they go in, they want to collect your private keys to access your wallets and basically drain your funds. So the apps that we know of right now are named like JM, E-Trade, Quantum, Dow Poker, and of course they are, actual websites. I don't recommend you going to, but they basically go in, and not only they create real websites and kind of gone in to create this entire thing, it's a very elaborate piece. They are also going in and promoting them on places like Twitter and Telegram, dedicated online forums like Bitcoin Talk and Steam Coin Pan, and literally going in to lure people into their campaigns to basically steal the wealth. So we have had, of course, individuals fall the victims to this stuff, and one of the interesting pieces that they have been able to observe is that the malicious app and the Electro-Rat binaries are not completely detectable or low detectable in virus tool at the time of the writing. So many of the antivirus software is not able to detect it, which is what makes it super, super dangerous. Now, the folks are aware of it. I'm sure that they're going to work on it, but just something for you to be aware of. And they're basically saying that if you are falling victim, and this is what the article is saying, if you're falling victim to the campaign, you need to kill the process, delete all malware files, transfer the funds to a new wallet, and make new passwords. So you definitely want to do that piece and to kind of protect yourself. In the final piece of the news, I like to end on the good side of the things. It has to do with YFI, Yearn.Finance. That's right. So Yearn.Finance is their developers are revealing version 2 spec teasers. Now, you know that Yearn.Finance has been a really hot thing this summer. Everybody kind of piled on. Everybody was super excited. Since then, they have been doing all these mergers, acquisitions, whatever the heck you call it, in the crypto world. However, if we look at YFI, where's YFI? YFI. Maybe I should just look it up over here. YFI. YFI is not doing as hot as some of the other projects. I mean, it's sort of up, but not really. I mean, it's up only 2.9% in the era where we're seeing, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100% returns. So as you can see, it's been, slightly up in the 24 hours, 7.1%, 7 days, actually down in 2 weeks, down on 30 days. It's not doing all that hot. It's been actually kind of, we did have this low right over here in early November at 7,000. We kind of hit over here. We got this head shoulder, shoulder head shoulder kind of pattern that seems to be fighting off with. We don't know how it's going to play out. So, but we're also seeing some double bottoms here. So we'll see how it's going to play out. It's been going mostly sideways, not much of anything happening. So perhaps the version 2 that is being leaked and the updates is going to be really good, and I think it's very necessary for YFI as a project to continue moving on up. So what did they do? Well, they are saying that they need to revamp, and version 2 promises to herald a raft of new updates and vault strategies. So they did tweet that they have a new status, and they didn't talk much about what's been going on with the vaults, but they did put in a number of under the hood improvements that were listed. So automatic integration of version 1 and version 2 vaults, in-house management of all vault tokens, and real-time data updates. The cover and cream protocols will also be fully integrated into the new version, and they're going to have a light mode similar to Zapper to simplify the experience. They will have a new real-time back-end infrastructure called Firehose that is going to be developed and is going to help, of course, the users to use all of the relevant data for year cover and cream, and developers can then easily integrate on the front end of the protocol. So we'll see how it's going to play out, but I think it's definitely needing to get some of this stuff. They're talking about in this article, and here's the part that is kind of interesting. Yes, when you compare what has happened this summer with yield farming and that kind of stuff, and then you compare it to now, obviously you don't get as many yields because those weren't sustainable and everybody already knew it, right? Except for maybe Chads. I don't know. But right now, when you look at what we are having in the markets and what the traditional sort of finance offers versus the crypto finance, I always find funny when we go into the crypto markets and say, the yields are diminished dramatically. It's horrible. It's not really good. And then you look at the yields and you were like, Curve is earning 14.7% yield. TUSD Vault is reporting 17.4% APY. And again, in the world of crypto, these are not as awesome, but in a world of traditional finance where you get, like, how much do you get? Put your money into the savings. What do you get? 0.001? Like, right? So, I mean, you're not getting anything. You're losing money. Not even counting for inflation, right? But if we were to count for inflation, goodness, you're losing money. You can put your money into the bonds, but they are not really good. And speaking of bonds, bond yields actually have gone up. So we have hit 1%, or actually maybe even gone above it. So that's an interesting piece to note. And of course, what has happened with the stonks? Well, stonk started stonking and not giving nearly as much of the yield and really starting to turn on down. So right now it looks like crypto might be the only game in town, but do be careful out there as you go and play. Do protect yourself, because there is a potential that while we are right now trading more like gold kind of going down, markets kind of going down, bond yields going up, do be careful and protect yourself. Don't get all crazy carried away, and always watch for number one, which is yourself and your wealth. So hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you have enjoyed the show. If you have, I will see you tomorrow if you show up. And if you don't, well, I will see everybody else. Until then, stay forever money blessed. And do remember, you are only one deal away.